source over here, the Hilula of a famous rabbi of the name Rabbi Mattathiah Nissim Terni is on Yud Aleph Sivan. It is marked, I think, different reports when he actually passed away. According to Wikipedia, it says it was after the 1810. According to another website here on Hayomi, it says 1815. Seemingly was born around the year 1745. He was a famous Italian rabbi of his time, and really great rabbi. Much can be mentioned about him. In fact, I believe it's not confirmed the exact date of his hulula. People will mention it as being Yud Aleph Sivan, because I think that was where the date of the Purim Katan was of his congregation, which we might brush onto in Orovina respectively. So that's why some people mark it on this specific date, but it was a great rabbi. Let's explore a few of the highlights of famous rabbi's life. Now, he would not just become a prominent rabbi, would be a Posek, rendering different halachic decisions. He would be a Meshorer also. He would be one of the rabbis of Italy, a playwright, let's just say, in of itself. He would be an educator in the Beit Midrash of Pazaro, and be the author of various different Torah colossal works. Now, he was born, I believe, to his father's name was Yaakov Yisrael, I think in the year around 1749, in an area, 1745, in the area in Kavena, I believe, which is part of more towards, I believe, the capital of Italy, if I'm not mistaken. He was very much part of various different congregations over there, including the Pernetza, I hope I pronounced it correctly, or Ovina, Singila, and Zara, and these were different places in Italy, respectively, and would over there, I think, learn and teach inside Beit Midrash, respectively, for several years. So I think, so just to recap, it was Florence, Urbino, Senigallia, and Pezaro. So he would teach in those places, respectively. I think it was around the time period of between 1799 to 1802. He would witness, let's say, different big major happenings, let's just say, not necessarily, or tragic disasters in the congregation. Following especially, there was a change of power between the Italians and Napoleon's occupying forces. It was reported over that in the year 1799, he was even arrested on suspicion, let's just say, of political involvement, and unfortunately his house was robbed also, and he would be released, I think, shortly after. It's only a few days inside there, respectively. But in memory of his rescue, let's just say, and the rescue of the congregation, various different poems he would actually compose, which was used in a special for Purim Katan booklet, I think, which was printed, which we're going to speak about later on. I think it was called the Midbar Kadesh, if I'm not mistaken. Now, it's actually interesting. He had great attitude to especially many of the great sages of his time. He admired the Chida, Rabbi Chaim Yosef David Azilin, one of the great rabbis in Jewish history, a rabbi we've mentioned about many occasions before, and he would actually see him as a supreme authority of the generation. And when he's giving inside his books various different rulings and decisions, he mentions the Chida, the great rabbi, with great admiration. He would send letters, I think, to the Chida in his printed book, the Sfat Emet, and write different questions and really show him the utmost lavish honor within regards to when addressing him. Now let's explore some of Rabbi Mattathiah's colossal Torah writings. He would write many different books connected to halacha. Firstly, especially the Sfat Emet, which was various different teshuvot in of itself, very important teshuvot, you could say, inside this writing. I think within regards to Kiddushin, a polemic that, let's say, in Pazaro, which was in the year, I think, in the 1800s at one stage in time, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So that would be written about inside, let's just say, his inside the book. Various different responses of various different sages and from the author himself. In the Midbar Matana, this was a collection, let's just say, of various matters. That was actually divided up into 4 different sections, including the Midbar Yachid, Midbar Mishpat, and Midbar Harim, and the Midbar Ba'arava. This was, I think, on the latter being on the top of Agunot, respectively. I think maybe in Florence, if I'm not mistaken, that was printed. Then the Midbar Kin'ah, which was dinim, different laws within regards to kosher and slaughter, shechita, and the dinim, the laws of slaughter, Midbar Moshe. This was in the inyan of Shliach Tzibur, a cantor, a chazan, respectively. Midbar Hagadol, various different questions which was coming, I think, especially connected to Rabbi Yishmael HaKohen Memodina, who was a very great rabbi of his time. It's actually interesting, we're mentioning his name. I believe it actually happens to be his Hilula, actually on Yud Sivan here. We're close to the day of recording that, so it's actually quite a coincidence to actually mentioning this over here. So, and then there was another book, the Midbar Kadesh, which was nets of the rescue, let's just say, of the congregation or arena on the date of Yud Aleph Sivan. That's why some people will mark his Hilula on this specific day in of itself. Now it's reported over, he also would write different plays, and that was collected, I think, later on in a scholarly version, let's just say, in of itself. Very different, I think, connected to the men of the Talmud Torah within regards to students, and that was just one of the parts towards within regards to it. I think it was, there would be a stage of 5 different plays played between the years 1770 to 1778. Interesting enough, connected, I think, to Rav Avraham Levi, who operated a yeshiva, I think, in-house on a permanent basis, if I'm not mistaken. I think one of the names of one of the plays was Minchat Bichorim, for example. There was a second play called Tfirat Yisrael, which was, I think, connected to the Feast of Shavuot. And there were other ones. I think the latter two was Moshe Har Sinai and also Tiferet Sinai, respectively. I think the last one was performed, I think, during the time period of Shavuot, and which is very, very interesting. Now, he had notable relations, especially he had a cousin of the name Rav Daniel Tirani. I think he would live until the year 1814. He himself was a great rabbi. I think also he passed away in France, Rav Daniel Tirani. I think we've spoken about him before on various occasions before. Another great rabbi of his time, famous writer, author. He was the author of the Kitab Hadat, Suda Mitzvah, Matanat Yad, Shem Olam, various great books, and much more can be related within regards to him. He was rabbi of community of his time. He worked also inside the Talmud Torah, inside his area, and he was close connected to the famous Gvir Avraham Levi, who really did much within regards to promoting his books. And as we see, many of the books that he actually wrote had the word Midbar in it, desert, and I think it was actually published in Florence, many of the works, various different volumes respectively. So I would recommend everyone to look more within regards to him. Just let's look at a couple of his teachings inside his books. It's always good to there's one interesting teaching, Melmed Lehavin Pishtei Hatfilot V'Leba'ar Ein Likrot Al Derech Hasot. What's this? This is actually from Midbar Matana in the first volume, respectively, I think on the 21st page, if I'm not mistaken. He talked a lot about agunot, which was an important topic, or always has been important. Melamed shlati aguna ein lachmi ledaktek beidut isha. For example, this would be a teaching in the Midbar Matana in the first volume, I believe, on actually the first page, if I'm not mistaken. I think it would actually span several pages. So very interesting. I would recommend everyone to learn more about him. Friends, we're a community here. We are learning about the great Oriental rabbis of yesteryear, North African rabbis, Spanish rabbis, from those various different let's say vicinities in of itself. If you feel anyone's interested in watching any of these videos, please share these videos to other people also. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to the channel. We are coming close to staggering 7,000 subscribers, which is absolutely phenomenal. And if you feel, let's just say, you want me to speak about a specific rabbi or anything, let me know. It'll be great. We're a community, we're learning about what actually happened in the Oriental countries of yesteryear, different timings, so on and so forth. So it will always be phenomenal to actually explore within regards to that. So wishing you all a great day, recording this from the city of Beit Shemesh in Israel, and thanks.